We interrupt regularly scheduled ENN programming for breaking news from the President of the United States. We take you live to the White House and reporter Kurt Droner.
Are we live? We're live. We're live from the White House, where President Obama has just called a press conference in order to discuss the rules for tonight's Varilux Optometry Student Bowl. He's just finished his written statement and now is taking questions from the press corps. Let's listen in.
As one nation. That's what I intend to do. With that, let me open it up for some questions, and I'm going to start right here with you, Nedra.
Mr. President, as we get ready to kick off tonight's Varilux Optometry Student Bowl, let me first ask you who you think is going to win the trophy and the cash this year.
I think there are going to be a lot of good choices out there.
What is your take on the rule that the Optometry Student Bowl is to be played with 2 preliminary rounds, one with 9 students and the other with 10?
We should get it done.
Well, it is done. It's the rule. Just a quick follow-up. Were you aware, or has anyone told you, that each round is to last 20 minutes or 20 questions, whichever comes first?
Well, Candy, as you know, if there was something I'd heard, I couldn't tell you.
Sir, it's my understanding that if the contestant buzzes in and answers correctly, they get 1 point. Then it's safe to assume that if they buzz in and answer incorrectly, they lose a point, correct?
Right.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Lynn, sweet.
Mr. President, I was wondering
What happened to your arm, Lynn?
Oh, I broke it last year trying to get into Optometry Student Bowl in Seattle.
Oh, no. I think that was the only major incident during the entire celebration.
I think you're right, sir. That aside, the current rules call for the top 4 scores in each round to advance to the Student Bowl. How important is this aspect to the overall rules?
This is a major issue. I think it's generated more interest than just about anything.
In that case, why don't we move all the contestants into the next round?
We have to mount an international effort to prevent that from happening.
Sir, 2 questions. The Daily Press Briefing indicates that this year's Student Optometry Bowl will take place in 2 rounds. It further states that the first round questions will be worth 1 point and the second round questions will be worth 2. Do you consider this the right course of action?
I'm gonna skip that. That was a 2-parter. Was there another aspect to that?
Kind of. What is the basis for the decision to give the contestants 4 seconds to buzz in before the bell sounds and the host moves on to the next question?
We cannot afford to wait, and I think it's very important to get it right.
Sir, we understand that speed is important, but let's say one of the contestants thinks they know the answer and rings their buzzer. The current rules state that the host will stop reading the question and the contestant will have 4 seconds to answer before the buzzer sounds. 4 seconds? That doesn't seem like very much time. Do you really think that's a good idea?
I've asked my team to explore what we can do under current law and whether additional legislation will be needed for this purpose.
You know that this is the Varilux Optometry Student Bowl, right? It doesn't require an act of Congress. Besides, don't you think your team has more pressing matters to deal with?
Yeah, don't pay any attention to her. She's actually a lobbyist for the contact lens companies. Anyway, let's say a contestant answers incorrectly or runs out of time before they answer. Do you think it's the right course of action for them to lose a point and then still allow the other contestants to answer that question?
I think we've got to think it through.
Sir, if no one answers the question before time expires, or if 2 people answer the question incorrectly, should we keep going with that same question, or should we move on to a different question?
We'll be making a decision about that in the future.
Okay, Mr. President, but you're not really answering our questions. So how about we just move on to the next question?
Okay, Candy, down here.
Sir, you've indicated that it's very important to give everyone the correct answer before moving on to the next question. Given the time constraints that you've mentioned, why is that so important?
There's some things that we know we're going to have to do, and beyond that, I don't think I should comment.
Sir, what if there's arguments or disputes from the students?
I'm not going to anticipate problems. Undoubtedly, there may end up being differences.
Sure, the judges can handle those. Have you given them any instructions on how to handle these disputes?
I've spoken to all of them.
And you are confident you and your judges will be able to keep everything under control?
I know we will succeed.
Sir, to close out the contest, the host will ask a final question. For the final question, contestants can bet any or all of their points in a last-ditch effort to try to win the game. Of course, contestants must place their bets before the final question is asked, and then they'll only get 1 minute to answer the question. Can you comment on the next steps in determining a winner?
We have 2 criteria that have to be reconciled.
Well, duh. I mean, the contestant does have to get the question right and finish the game with the most points. Right, sir?
Right.
So ultimately, sir, the person with the most points at the end of the game is the Varilux Optometry Student Bowl champion. Mr. President, you've laid out a very elaborate process here. Do you think these are the appropriate rules for the contest?
I think that the plan that we've put forward is the right one, and we thought it through.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right? Thank you very much, guys.
Well, there you have it. The rules as defined by the President of the United States of America. And now, as we return to our regularly scheduled programming, I'll have you stand up, turn around, and welcome the contestants for the 2009 Varilux Optometry Student Bowl.